What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of A1 Agents. I've got my friend that I've met from the YouTube space, Mark Flockhart, on the call. Mark is an insurance agent with over 10 years of experience in the insurance industry, starting out as a six-figure producer and a top five agent out of 300 agents for over 7 years in a row. He he's the founder of Think Insurance. If you follow any sort of insurance content, you might know who he is and his content. But it's a successful YouTube channel dedicated to teaching people everything that they need to know about insurance and how to save money with insurance. He's recently started his own insurance agency and has several other things in the works that I will let him talk about. Mark, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm actually excited to go over everything.
So tell my audience a little bit about who you are, what your story is, how you got started in insurance, and I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I fell into the insurance industry. It was by accident. Working at a car dealership, 6 months hating life, you know, watching all the salesmen that want to run out the door and beat you to that car deal. And I wasn't that guy. I wasn't the guy that would run out the door and grab it. So sister kind of pulled me in and said, you got to do this insurance thing, check it out. Farmers at the time was hiring. So I applied. Within probably 6 days, I was hired and actually there, which was crazy. Just started the career, didn't have a clue what I was doing. And long story short, 7 years later, about 8 years later, I was the top performer for 7 years straight. So natural fit, just kind of took off with it. Not to say that it was like instant success, right? I had to go through training and licensing and doing all of that. But I think one of the things that excelled me more is my background has been sales, right? So I am simple to the core. If I can't understand it and make an easy path for somebody to understand it the same way, then I feel like I'm failing it, right? And I think that's why more people are relatable to a lot of the content is I try to bring it down to the simplest form that you can think of on anything. So that's kind of where I started in the industry. I grew from there, started working in a PNC agency after that. Kind of got into the management field that was more of a passion for training. So had a team of, we call them lead aggregators. I think you guys actually work with a few. But yeah, had people coming in, hiring, firing, teaching them to make outbound dials, sending them over to agents for leads. Long story short, we ended up, didn't fit, right? After probably the 10th fire, I was like, okay, there's got to be a different way of doing this.
Right.
Basically started our own agency. That's the background of me. Think Insurance is a little bit different to where when I left that farmer's brand, I left that six-figure income and I made a conscious decision that, okay, everything I've been doing has been centered around a company or a manager or somebody that has some sort of control over what I'm doing. And it wasn't a bad environment. It's just I had zero control. So when they lowered the leads or they switched the marketing plan, I was the one that suffered. And my original design was to start a YouTube channel because that was kind of a thing I liked to do. It was a video, creating videos, and just it started with, Garth Brooks singing to a webcam, right? Realizing that I'm never going to be on America's Got Talent really quickly. And then kind of built around that. And I figured, worst case scenario, even if it helps people and I don't make anything from it, I've at least given back at some point. Okay. Long story short, it's blown up. I'm close to 80,000 views this month. Last month, we generated over 207 quotes from it, filled out, completed, already like prices out the door. And it's grown to be bigger than what I thought it would be. And it's actually growing more every month.
Wow.
But more importantly, I'm starting to kind of lean out a little bit because I've really shied away from kind of giving the secrets or talking to people about it because it's kind of that introvert type person, right? So you don't want to overstep like, oh, here's what you do, because then you're kind of stuck in that box, right? So that's kind of where I'm at now. So we've kind of started a local brand here in Michigan where we have some agents working. We also have agent brand focus. Finch is what we're calling it, FYNCH, to where we're trying to connect agents with other agents. Not like I don't want to put the Facebook groups down because they're great, but it's not the one where we're watching like the news and posting all the memes and whatnot. It's more of like, okay, how do we grow and build each other up so that we're talking about trade secrets, we're talking about marketing plans that we're doing and things like that. And it's got a lot of other stuff. I don't try to push anything on anybody, but we've got our own CRM. There's kind of a lead portal that we're working on. So there's just a lot of stuff that we're kind of wearing a few different hats here.
That's awesome, man. Well, I just added 2 more questions to you based on everything you just told me. So the first thing I want to ask you is, I think a big part of my audience and the YouTube audience in general, actually, I think the majority of, like my age demographic is like, 25 to 34. I think that's my number one age demographic. And a lot of people, my number one video is like how to pass your P&C test, right?
Yep.
So there's just rookies, people that are just brand spanking new. And a question I have for you is, what advice do you have for them? Because you were a top producer for 7 years in a row.
Yeah.
And so, there's something there that I think is of value, and I would love for you to share. Like, how did you achieve that?
A little bit of it is just wanting to learn the industry. So not to the point where it overwhelms you. Like the P&C exam, that's one thing. That's kind of like getting through that barrier. You'll find that for the new people, if you aren't licensed, you're not going to use those terms 90% of the time, right? You're not going to say indemnify or all of those like special words that I'm actually got cards. We just helped a guy get licensed recently. So we're going through these words. I'm like, what does this mean? I'm like flipping over, reading my own answers. I'm like, crap, I don't remember. And so like, yes, that's like a gauntlet that you're going to go through. And that's kind of I call it the government's way of protecting so that not just anybody can join the industry, right? We got to check your ethics and all of that and make sure that you're actually focused on, we're handling people's livelihoods, right? So the part that I would say to grow fast is get wherever you're going, whether it's with you, with us, with somebody else, with farmers, even like wherever you're going to go, put your heart and effort into it and focus on it. Get what you can out of them. I think one of the things, the basic things that I learned is I used to take an hour lunch, and half of that hour I ate, the other half I would sit with the other top people and I would listen to them make phone calls. So I would just sit next to them without a headset. Sometimes I'd put on a headset and I'd listen to what they're saying and just sort of kind of mimic what they've got. And I've kind of mixed my own path with what they're doing into my own words. And I think that's helped me the most as far as getting to be successful quickly.
That's good, man. I like, why reinvent the wheel? I think a lot of times I'm just like with some of my employees, I'm like, look, the way he's doing it, like, I don't want you to try and get fancy with it. Like, just do what they're doing, add your twist to it, say it in a way that you would say it, but don't get fancy with it. Now's not the time for creativity, right? Like, let's follow what works. Just stick to the process. Okay. And here's a question I have for you. At some point, you made a decision to just go all in with the insurance industry, right? Like you could have just been an insurance agent and then maybe created a YouTube channel with like your family. Like, I don't know. You could have done all these different things, but what was it about insurance that you're like, I'm all in? Because that's the vibe I get from you is a person that's like, all like, when I think of insurance, like you come to mind, So what made you decide to go all in?
So that's kind of a tough thing. I'll tell you the secret. So the part that's a little embarrassing, I'll share, I'll open up for you guys here. I was all in on video first. Okay. They're out there. You'll laugh if you see them. I did the toy channel. We did.
Okay.
I was
All right.
unboxing little eggs and stuff like that. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to make $1 million unwrapping eggs. And my kids loved it. So that was the biggest thing that we had a lot of fun with. We did
That's
a little
awesome.
bit of a family vlog. I deleted that, by the way. So that, and I realized quickly, like, I don't want to be on camera 24/7. That's what kind of made me determine that, okay, I need to find something that I can make videos on the time that I have, to where I wasn't just constantly having to pick up a camera or constantly having to buy toys and unwrap them and feel weird about it. Right. So that was kind of where I started. So that's kind of like the piece of it that a lot of people don't realize, is it was fun, right? Video was kind of a thing that I've always loved. And I was really good at insurance. I learned to love insurance. Like, insurance is everything. I go home when kids go to bed, I pull up the laptop, I'm reading articles about insurance, I'm learning what's going on, what's State Farm doing, what's Allstate doing, what's Progressive doing, and trying to find like all of these pieces and reading articles, a lot of research basically. And I really, apart from that, that's one passion that I had. The other part was the video. And I really liked the video part of it. Is just, I always found myself coming back to making something that would teach somebody else. I got a lot of, I guess, enjoyment of seeing people comment like, hey, that's awesome. Hey, great. Thanks for sharing that. And those two really meshed together really well. And I really just went all in on it.
Okay. Yeah, I made video. Like, I love self-development, and I try to make videos with, like, self-development related stuff, and only the insurance related ones would actually do anything. And so I'm like, all right, I guess that's my niche. So
Yeah.
I guess that's my niche. So that's just kind of what I just kept reposting. So that's awesome, man. Now, what you told me that you decided to start your own insurance agency as well. When did
Yes.
that happen?
That was this year. So
This year.
effective January of this year was the official launch of it.
Okay.
Um, we, it's something I'd always wanted to do. It was insurance slash marketing was kind of like a side passion. I don't know why.
Okay.
I had a dream of having like a marketing agency where people would come in and we'd build you a website and then we'd market it for you and all of that stuff. And then I also had like the insurance dream too. It's like, okay, which one? I got to choose one, right? It's either that or I'm just going to
Okay.
go play video games 24/7. So
Yeah.
I kind of pushed those others aside and decided that, going all in, building an agency, I technically did that with the last 5 years of my life, but I did it for someone else.
Right. Okay.
And so I decided, okay, you know what? It works. I know what I'm doing now. I've got the experience. I was able to, turn what I knew and kind of it almost test it, what I thought was successful. And because it did work, I partnered up with some great people, and now we're just kind of crushing it over here, or at
That's
least trying
awesome.
to. Yep.
That's awesome. And you're in Michigan, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Now, did you open up an independent agency, or did you go captive?
We went independent.
Okay.
Yep. So we're mainly using all the main carriers. We've got like your Safeco, your Progressives, your Nationwides, Travelers, all of those independent agencies that are mixed. We technically have Allstate, but not going to lie, I haven't had you guys come up once on the
All
competitor.
good. It's all good, man. I bleed blue. I bleed blue, but it's no offense taken, man. So I've got a question for you. Why did you go independent versus captive? I'd love to hear your opinion on that.
So a little bit was spurred from my last place. The guy that actually I worked with in the past, he had actually had an Allstate agency. And in Michigan, it did not turn out well, had a ton of clients, but then they ended up shutting the whole thing down. Like, they actually pulled out of Michigan for a while at one point, from what I understand. I also had interviewed and actually have some family members that work at Liberty, and that's a great position. There's a lot of upfront pay, but the more I knew about it, I wanted the long-term revenue, and I didn't want to be tied to one company. Once again, then I'm tied to being stuck. If that rate goes up or changes, it's no different than where I left myself in the first position.
Mm.
And so that led me to dive into more of that independent agency field. And it just ended up being a way better fit, at least in Michigan.
That's awesome. What were some of your challenges with starting your own agency, if any?
Time, patience. I
Hmm.
know it happened quick, but a lot of it was reaching out to carriers, seeing if we can get appointments with them, really trying to figure out what steps we can do. Some said no, some said yes. So we're having to prove our model. We actually built, and this is kind of, we have a little bit of a side piece where we 1099 and help agents grow there. But what we did is we recorded, or at least documented, all the steps that we took, right? Because we knew we were going to show other people either way. And so getting licensed, right? Transferring your license to its own company and getting E&O insurance and figuring out what the steps are to take to do that. That was kind of like our drive, is like, okay, we're going to go through these hurdles, so to speak.
Let's
But
document it. That's awesome.
yeah, it's more exciting to go through it when you know you're going to help somebody else get through it later, right? So you're going to push through the mud and the rain and all of that, so you can pull someone else through. I think that was the piece that my partner and I really focused on.
That's awesome. I'm a huge user of I use Craig Wiggins coaching, and I have my team use Craig Wiggins coaching, but I'm also in the process of just filming every process in my agency to give to mainly for salespeople, to just have them watch it and then
Yep.
have them and help them be successful, so that way I don't have to like repeat everything to every single new employee, new hire, and things like that. So I'm very
Yeah.
pumped for that.
No,
That's
and that's
awesome.
actually what I did before. That was, I had designed a 30-day training course without me. It involved 2 hours a day. I would be involved in it, so that someone's not always, because eventually they get tired. Like a new agent coming in the industry is overwhelmed, right? So
Yeah.
they need somebody to question them and challenge them, not just read the material or see the material. And so
Right.
I had to design, that was actually part of what drove me to this, is like, okay, I know how to teach the agent how to get up and running now. Let's just go do it.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. Let me ask you, what is it that you're, you know what, I had another question, but when that one comes back to me, what is it that you're currently working on that you're like very excited about? Because I know you told me a couple things, and I wanted to save it for you.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I try not to say all of it, because everyone's like, how in the world are you doing so many things? This guy's just out of his mind. He's either nuts or he's just doing dabbling, right? I don't
Yeah,
dabble.
that's awesome.
And you could ask, my wife knows that much.
Are you
So
more of a visionary or an integrator?
I'm both.
Okay. Oh, so you're the
I like,
hybrid.
yes, I like to dive in, and actually on my phone, I think it says action oriented people are successful, right? So
Yeah.
it's one of the first things I look at, is to be action oriented, because most people have really good ideas out there. People watching this are going to grab like 20 ideas out of what you're doing, out of what I'm doing. They might even write it down, but 95% of them aren't going to do anything with it.
Mm,
Right. I've done that. I do that all the time. It just
yeah.
sometimes you got to pick up the gauntlet and run with it. So that's definitely one thing. The thing that we're working on now is similar to what you are, and maybe we can even connect some more after this, is because it sounds like we're going in the same direction. We
Yeah.
want to try to teach other agents what we're doing. Not
Hmm.
necessarily join us. We're not looking to, that's the last thing I want to do is pitch somebody. It sounds kind of weird, because I don't like the heavy join us. You got to be part of us. You got to buy our leads. You got to buy our CRM. You got to buy that piece, although that will become part of it.
Yeah.
We really are just trying to focus on, how do we take an agent from nothing to a $3 million book or more,
Yeah.
right? How do we do what we've done? And I think I've personally so far in my career, 12 years, have probably wrote close to 4 or 5 million total, which today I have none of it, because it was all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the other part that you
You're,
got to think about.
yeah. And yeah. And there's value in learning because now you're hitting everything with much more speed, you
Yep,
know, but in retrospect, it's like, if only my name was on the door, you know, and so there's that,
exactly.
yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, and it sounds weird, but we're actually, so what our goal is it's Finch is the name of it, FYNCH, so finch.io. It's partnered with our actual brand is Valor Insurance Group. And what we're doing is Valor is actually trying to do that part of it inside of itself. So they're two separate pieces. Because we're already building it and we're building it for ourselves first, we're giving it to other people through Finch. Okay. So we're trying to basically take somebody who is new to the industry, kind of raise them up, show them what the ropes are, show them what the steps are. And then we're including, we tried 10 different CRMs, right? We've done that. And we know that you can't get text messages with pictures half the time, or you can't text at the times you want, or all of that stuff. So we basically we've built almost our own system around all of that, which is where Finch comes in. Finch is essentially the brand that we're putting around it. And Valor is almost the proof of concept that it's working.
Okay.
Right. So we're basically trying to show people other agents and through you and anyone else that we can think of, and just raise the tides, because all tides, are going to raise all the ships. A rising tide will raise all ships. And we just want to be there with them. So what we're doing, I'll just kind of give you an example, is we're hiring agents. Our pay structure is built for them to write the business. If they want to leave, that's fine. We keep the business. We're buying leads. So we're working leads. That was a huge part of my experience. 80% of my selling career was leads. Mm-hmm. And so we know what to do with them. So we're working leads, working COIs, working all of that. And eventually what we want to do is get our agents to the level where they can actually decide to do their own. And we're going to hopefully have them be part of us or a wing of us, to where, okay, now we can take that book that you've built and we can either somehow get it back in your hands, so that we don't make everything. We're going to make money either way, right? Do I need $10 million on a yacht? I'd love it. But when I go to a vacation and go to, Puerto Rico or wherever we're going for that vacation, I want to go there and know that you're making really good money along with me. So you're not worried about getting home so you can make 10 more sales because you can't pay the bill or put good tires on your car.
Right. I like that. And I think that's amazing what you're doing, because you, like, that problem that I was literally just talking about, like, that's a great solution for that. And I think that us in the captive world, we don't have that opportunity. Right. Like, I can coach my sales manager. I can coach my top people into eventually opening up their own agency. But as you know, there's a larger capital requirement. I think there's so many creative ways, right? Low cost ways. I have a buddy that I interviewed who started his independent agency with like $5,000.
Yeah.
And in the captive world, it's not like that. It's usually like 50 grand or 100 grand to open up an Allstate agency right now. So I think that's really cool what you're doing. And it's very, it's like the right thing to do. It gives people such an awesome career path to grow with you. So I think that's really cool.
Well, and I got to be honest, I don't want to come across, selfless, right? Because it sounds like I'm pitching the whole world at the sun, and I'm going to make money too. Right? Of course. We're all going to but I don't have to make it all. That's the thing.
Right. Yeah. 100%. So I've got another question for you, because I'm doing a talk on this because Craig wants me to speak at Craig Wiggins at his event here in Vegas.
Oh, awesome.
And I want to talk social media. And I think that with the exception of you and with the exception of, just a very small group of people, in my opinion, I feel like insurance agents are like the worst with social media.
We are pretty bad.
Because I know like mortgage officers that are crushing it, realtors that are crushing it.
Yep.
And I don't know I don't know of many that are fully utilizing social media, and it's like obvious how the level of importance that it brings in today's world.
Yep.
So I want to ask you, you're using YouTube to generate leads. That's amazing. Um, can you talk about that and like how YouTube has impacted your business? Like, like people reaching out to you for quotes and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so when I first started this, there's a guy, Daryl Eves. If you want to know the guru of YouTube, that's the guy, right? You're gonna pay 10 grand to go to his course or whatever. I don't know what the cost is, but it's expensive.
Okay.
And I'm cheap. Don't get me wrong. So I'm watching every free video on my way home and back and at night, and 5 years of just watching the freebies, right? You can
Yeah.
do it that way. I don't recommend it anymore. Your mind kind of melts a little bit. But I actually got into one of his free ones and I got him to review me, and he said, "Don't do insurance." On
You said
YouTube.
don't talk about insurance?
Yes. Yep. It
Oh
was,
my
he said,
goodness.
unless you're in Texas or California, he's like, you're not going to get anything. So those of you that are Texas, California, you got a shot. Um, so, but I knew there was a market out, and it reminds me of, I don't know if you remember going to eBay a lot. That's what I used to do. So if I had a product I wanted to research, I wouldn't go to Google, I'd go to eBay, because they talked
Interesting.
about all of the features on eBay, right? I see YouTube becoming the search engine for everything. And it's
Same here.
happening, right?
Yeah.
So yes, at the time, a year, 2 years ago, when he said, don't do the insurance thing, I knew that. I knew it wouldn't take off until later. So it's something you've
Mm,
got to commit to and put into it. And now you're seeing people search, how do I get cheaper in car insurance? How do I get this? The part where us agents get lost is there's two pieces I've noticed. Watch, because I do watch everybody else out there, right? Is one, we don't connect with the audience, right? So we're not putting our emotions into it. We're not actually, putting quirkiness or whatever, or dry, right? There's a
mhm.
ton of people that do well that are dry humor, or you don't have to be dancing around the screen. And two, we're very analytical. So we want to know, if I say this in the video, is it going to affect my chances of getting recommended on the next one? So that's one thing that I did a lot of deep diving on, and I've kind of honed in on a lot of that over the years. It's just
Mhm.
now become secondhand, getting the right thumbnail, getting all of that stuff moving, getting that to run is really where that has led me.
Yeah. You're doing a
Um,
lot of things right with YouTube. And God, I don't know about you, but I look at some of my first couple of videos and they're cringy to me. Um,
yeah.
some of even some of my recent videos, I'll look at them just because I'm so critical, and I'll still judge myself like, oh, you could have done that better, like why you why do you use buzzwords and things like that. But I totally agree with you on. I think it's just a matter of the next generation, because I noticed that I don't like Googling anything. If I'm going to take a trip to Greece, right, I want
Mhm.
to YouTube it to
Yep.
see what to do. I don't want to read about what to do. I want to see what to do. And I think a
Yes.
lot of people are visual learners, and YouTube is owned by Google. And I totally think there's a lot to unpack there. So if uh, what advice would you give if somebody did want to use YouTube, right? Like I happen to use it to help insurance agents because that's what's like seemed to, do the best for me.
Mhm.
You're talking actual insurance and like everything, educating your whole audience on it. Is that a route that you recommend for insurance agents to go on YouTube? Just more educational?
100%. Yeah. Think about this. So, what's TikTok? How do you see a video on TikTok? What are you doing?
Scrolling,
What are you doing on Instagram?
scrolling,
What are you doing on Facebook?
scrolling.
What are you doing on YouTube?
Um, If you have YouTube Premium, you're probably still scrolling, but not a lot of people have YouTube Premium. So yeah, but you're watching.
You're searching, right? I'm
Searching.
looking for an answer. And for us, we're a business. We're trying to see if we're a fit for people. Do you think you're going to be a better fit when someone's scrolling through TikTok? Right? Do you think you're going to be a better fit when someone's scrolling through? You maybe, because the algorithm will still show you to the people that you're a fit for.
Yeah.
But the odds of them stopping at you versus searching for you is different. So the type of clientele that you're going to get, yes, can you get 10,000 views on TikTok and all those other things? Absolutely. But do you want to talk to the 80% of the people that you don't want to talk to, or the 20% of the people that you do want to talk to? Right. And that's why I think YouTube is really the end all platform for us as far as agents go. I don't think it's wrong to go elsewhere. So I think TikTok will become, now that they're releasing, this is kind of the geek in me knowing this stuff, right? Now that they're releasing 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute video segments on TikTok, because they're trying to compete with YouTube now. And who knows, maybe TikTok does turn into a search-based platform.
Wow.
So I want to be everywhere. And I focus 90% of my focus on where it's going to get me the most results, and then a little bit of focus in the other aspects.
That's powerful, man. I am all over the place. So I'm trying to.
If you can handle it, do it.
I need a team, Mark. I can't keep going like this. Oh man.
I tried.
I'm gonna start wrapping up here, but I've got one more question for you. But before I do, I just want to acknowledge you, Mark, because I think what you're doing for the insurance industry is something that's needed, not just for insurance agents, but for the average just client that just wants to learn about their policy. Like, your content is super valuable, and there's no coincidence why your YouTube channel is seeing a lot of success. And I just have no doubt that success is going to spill over into anything you put your hands on, business wise. And so thank you for everything that you're doing for the insurance industry. I'm super glad YouTube connected us. And my last question is the same question I ask everybody. It's the title of this show, which is A1 Agents. And when I looked up what A1 means, it's to the highest of standards, highest of qualities. And so, what are 3 standards that you live by?
So there's a couple different ones in different areas. If it's in business, in work, I have standards for clients. So they have to get it, want it, and need it for me to work with them, right? Because otherwise you're just creating just a headache. But as far as standards in life, it's kind of like, it's more of a priority for me. So I'm not going to put them in order. You guys can put them in order, but God, family, work, friends, and patience. Figure out how to put those in order, and everything else falls in place.
I like it. I love it. Especially the patience one, because
that's my hardest part.
we all need some of that, man. Well, for my audience that wants to connect with you, you guys look him up on YouTube, Think Insurance, and I know that you're also on Facebook, which is how we've connected. Is there anywhere else that you would like my audience to connect with you?
They can go to finch.io, FYNCH.io. It's new. We're just creating the platform there. It's more of just a collaborative space that we're trying to do. I do have a course on there that I'm launching. It's technically launched, but it's going to be constantly in the works for YouTube, how to find the content, what should you make video, like all of that stuff, right? And I honestly thought about doing it free, and I was like, let's give this away, and maybe I'll find a way that if you guys have people, for those that can't afford it, that's going to be a different story. Reach out to me, but I put a premium on it. Just because, one, I want it to be important, so that somebody's like, I'm putting $100 into this. I'm not just going to take it and skimp through it. But that's essentially where that lives right now.
That's wise. I'm reading 100 million 100 what is it's the book from Alex Hormozy.
1,000
And
true followers,
uh
or
no, 100 million offer 100 million offers or something like that.
oh
I
yes,
should,
yep.
and I think unless if it's free, people won't see the value in it and they won't
Mm-mm.
take it seriously because it was free. So I'm with you there, brother. So Finch, Fynche,
Just ch
ch
fynch.io. I don't know
ch.io.
why, but you got to put the www in front of it. So
Okay,
for
I
some
will
reason,
blast it on. I will blast it on the screen when I edit this. So awesome, Mark. Well, I appreciate your time, brother, and thank you again.
yeah, Nick, it was good talking with you.